Welcome back. All right, 5-game night tonight in the National Hockey League, and if you like extra time, you'd enjoy tonight's games. And it definitely will cause probably some changes about how teams are going to handle the trade deadline. Maybe, we'll see. So we'll start things off talking about Washington and the Rangers, and these teams do not like each other, which always leads to pretty entertaining games. It's Lindgren versus Shesterkin, and 1:03 in, it's a face-off win, and it's buried. Dubois scores from Wilson. So the Capitals not messing around. They're up 1-0 early. In fact, the Caps look for another. The shots are 4-0 Washington 3 minutes in. Brodzinski has a rush chance that's held. Cooley has a shot that's blocked as the Rangers get some pressure. Rangers press at 9 minutes. Eller's denied on a net drive. Then there's a net feed to Dubois that gets picked off. Rangers go the other way, and they score in a rush. Panarin ties it from Jones and Lafreniere at 13:37. So we have a 1-1 tie at that stage. Shots are 7-6 Washington with 5 minutes left. But remember, they were up 4-0 in the shots. We get a 4-minute power play for the New York Rangers. The Caps kill that off. They allow one shot. Big turning point in the game. It stays 1-1 after the first. Second period. Mangiapane has a rush chance that's defended. Borgen has a screenshot that's kicked aside. Panarin's denied and close. Wilson has a net feed. That's picked off. Too many Caps on the ice. The Rangers go to the power play. Now, apparently it's the 11th time this season that there's been a too many men on the ice call against Washington. And, man, did Carberry ever rip his team a new one for that. So that was killed off. Then there's a brief press by the Rangers after it's done. Cooley can't bury one in close. Puck's cleared out. Strome has a rush chance that's held. And then at 8:06, Carrick on a backhand from the slot gives the Rangers their first lead of the game. Keandre Miller and Borgen with the assists. We then get a power play for the Capitals. That's killed off. Shots are 5-4 Washington with 9 minutes left. There's a blocker save on Sandin. Puck's cleared out. The fans call one. The referee does not. Duhaime then had a fight with Carrick. So Carrick had a goal and a fight. So he's looking for the assist. Doesn't get it. I guess spoiler alert. So Rangers press are kept to the outside. Roy has a fight with Parson, and that didn't last very long. The Rangers end up getting a power play. Things get pushed in a hole by Lindgren. We end up getting 14 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off, and then Shesterkin holds after everything's done. Rangers press to close out the period, and they're up 2-1 after 2. Third period, Sandin has a wrister that's blocked out. Carrick has a rush chance that's defended. Things get pushed in a hole by Lindgren. Shots are 2 apiece at 6.5 minutes. The Capitals press at 8 minutes. We get a power play for Washington. There's a shorthanded rush by Zibanejad, but at 10:28, Ovechkin buries one in close. He's 10 away from setting the record for goals. Mangiapane and McMichael with the assists on that one, and it's tied at 2. And during that play, the Rangers took a penalty. So that's another power play. That one's killed off. The shots are 9-1 for the Capitals with 5 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not. Caps press with 3.5 minutes left. The Rangers press in the final minute. It's 2-2 after the third period. So we go to overtime. Rangers control early. Jones is denied. The Rangers hold on to it. McMichael then fires one wide on a rush. Ovechkin has a rush chance that's caught and held. And then at 4:07, the Capitals, it is Wilson tipping in a net feed. Strome with the assist. The Capitals win this one in overtime 3-2. They go to 40-14-8 with the win. With the overtime loss, the Rangers 31-26-5. So they did get a point, which is important considering the playoff chase being as it is. Shots on net, 8-7 Washington in the first, 7-6 Washington in the second, 8-3 Washington in the third, and 3-1 Washington in the overtime. They really controlled that last, 24 minutes and 7 seconds. Final shots, 26-17 for Washington. Power plays, the Capitals 1 for 4, the Rangers 0 for 4. The hits, 36-22 for the Rangers. Lindgren saves 15 out of 17. Shesterkin saves 23 out of 26. All right, next up. Ottawa in Chicago against the Hawks. Aren't the Hawks fun to watch? Anyways, Ullmark versus Soderblom. Teams trade early turnovers. The Sens press at 2 minutes, and at 2:23, Tkachuk tips in a point shot to open the scoring for Ottawa. Zub and Sanderson with the assists. The Sens then press for another. Pinto has a rush chance that's held. The Hawks press at 5 minutes. Sens get some pressure at 6 minutes. Some near misses at the net as well. Shots are 5-1 Ottawa at 7 minutes. But at 11:37, Sanderson with a bit of an oops. I think he was expecting an icing call that didn't come. And Donato scores from Sligert there. So that ties the game at 1. We then get a power play for Chicago. And they score on it. Teravainen buries a loose puck from the doorstep. Bertuzzi and Vlasic with the assists at 12:22. So quickly, we have a 2-1 lead for Chicago. Bedard has a rush chance that's blocked, and then at 14:07, Perron bats one out of the air to tie the game at 2. Batherson and Norris with the assist there, so high-scoring first period in this one. Sens press for the lead. Nazar fires one wide from the slot. The Sens press with 2 minutes left. It stays 2-2 after the first period. Second period, Kaiser has a wrister that's held as the Hawks press. The Sens press at 3 minutes. There's a pad save on Nick Jensen. The Hawks get pinned down for a bit, but the shots are only 2 apiece at 5 minutes, so they do a good job of making sure Ottawa doesn't get a bunch of shots out of it. Teams trade rushes. The Sens press at 9 minutes, and then at 10:29, Norris rifles one from the right circle into the net. The assist to Batherson and Sanderson. Doc then misses wide on a 2-on-1 rush as Chicago looks to answer. The Hawks press with 6 minutes left. Shots are 8-4 for Chicago with 4.5 minutes left, but it stays 3-2 in favor of the Ottawa Senators after 2. Third period, Gregg's denied on a fast break. Maroon has a net drive that's saved, and then on a pass from behind the net from Patrick Maroon, Craig Smith buries one at 1:47 to tie the game at 3. Bedard has a one-timer that's blocked. We get a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off. Bedard's denied not too long after. The Sens clear the rebound. Sens press at 9 minutes. Donato has a net drive that's kicked aside. Sens press with 3.5 minutes left. The Hawks press in the final minute. We're going to overtime, and which is a common refrain tonight. The Hawks controlled early. Stützle then puts one in with his skate. So when they get it, it's Stützle that gets it, and it goes in off of his skate. They reviewed it to make sure it was a good goal, and it was. So at 43 seconds, he gets his 5th career overtime winner. Ottawa with a big 2 points tonight in Chicago. They go to 31-25-5 with the win with the overtime loss. Chicago 19-35-8. They are getting points. They're staying in games. I'm still saying Chicago is improving. Shots on net, 10-5 Ottawa in the first, 8-7 Chicago in the second, 7 apiece in the third. Ottawa had the only shot on overtime. That's all they needed. Final shots 25-20 for the Senators. Power plays Ottawa 0-for-1. Chicago scored on the only one they had. The hits 19-17 Chicago. Ullmark 17 saves on 20 shots. Soderblom 21 saves on 25 shots. Time for board number 2. And now we move on to the 3-game board. I always do 2 columns for when there's 2 early games just in case they're crazy and I need extra room. Anyways, so Toronto in Vegas, Woll versus Hill. The puck drop was at 7:22 because it's a TNT doubleheader. I know I've talked about this before. I just find it weird that the puck drops 15 minutes later for the TNT doubleheader. I don't understand why they didn't just make this a 7:30 start, to be honest. So it's Nyes versus McLeod 3 seconds into the game. So Matthew Nyes with a second career fight. Lone shot on net was for Toronto 3 minutes in. Nylander's denied on a face-off win. And then at 4:32, Hurdle scores. He buries a rebound, Saad with the assist. The Leafs draw a power play. That's killed off. 9 minutes in, the shots are 8-2 for Toronto. Toronto had a good game. I know, but they did. The Leafs pressed at the half, but at 11:18 on a rush, Howden with a backhand into the net to make it 2-0 Vegas. Barbashev and Kolesar with the assists. We then had a post for Howden on a fast break. We get a power play for Vegas, and they score on it. At 15:02, it is Eichel. Scoring from Hanifin and Dorofeev. He rifles one in on a tic-tac-toe play, and that ends the night for Woll. Apparently, it's the first time he's been pulled from a game after allowing a few goals like that. So, Stolar's in the net. Leafs press with 3.5 minutes left. Marner has a wrister that's caught and held. Kolesar has a fast break chance that's held as well. It's 3-0 Vegas after the first period. Again, I thought Toronto played well. Just every time Vegas got the puck, it seemed to find the Toronto net. 17 seconds into the second period, it starts badly. Hanifin scores from Eichel, so it's 4-0. Vegas then presses at 4 minutes. We get a power play for the Golden Knights. That's killed off. The shots are 4 apiece at 6.5 minutes. Hague's denied from a sharp angle. Vegas presses at 8 minutes. Leafs get some pressure halfway through the period. We get a power play for the Leafs. That leads to a shorthanded breakaway for Eichel. I was surprised he didn't score there, but it's saved. Power play ends up being killed off. Vegas scores. There's a goalie interference challenge, and it counts. Pearson from Korzak and Hurdle at 13:33. That power play is killed off, though. And then Toronto gets a power play, and at 18:01, Matthews buries a rebound, extends his point streak to 11 games. Tavares and Nylander with the assists. It gets them on the board. It's 5-1 after 2. Third period, early press by Vegas. The Leafs then get some pressure at 1.5 minutes. The only shot on net was Toronto's 3.5 minutes in. And this was going fast, which, of course, favors the team with the 4-goal lead, right? Myers has a shot that's held as the Leafs get some pressure. They're controlling this period, but they're down by 4, and they're not getting a lot of really prime opportunities at the front of the net. Nylander has a net drive that's blocked. Vegas presses at the half. With 7 minutes left, the shots are 5-1 for the Leafs, and at 13:27, Mitch Marner scores unassisted to make it 5-2. Leafs look for another. We had a bit of a wrestle between Ekman Larsson and Howden. Did they count that as a fight? Anyways, Saad then has a rush chance that's held, but yeah, Vegas wins this one 5-2. They go to 37-18-6 with the win. With the loss, Toronto 38-21-3. Shots on net 16-8 Toronto in the first, and then 15-9 Vegas in the second, 6-2 Toronto in the third. They outshot Vegas 31-25. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3. The hits 37-26 Toronto. Woll saved 4 out of 7. Stolarz saved 16 out of 18, and Hill saved 29 out of 31. Really, it was a lot of these goals for Vegas were in transition, so on rushes or breakaways. Just Toronto's defense was kind of caught off guard a bit there, and so Vegas gets the win. All right, next up, Anaheim and Vancouver. So it's Gibson versus Lankinen in this one. Garland has the near miss on a rush. Besser was robbed in a play after that. Gibson holds on. Gibson had a very strong start to this. Terry fires one wide on a rush. The shots are 6-0 Vancouver at 4 minutes. Post for Leeson on a net drive. The Canucks press at 5.5 minutes. Gibson's the reason it's scoreless at this point. It's really all Canucks. We get a power play for Vancouver. That's killed off. The Canucks press after it's done. The Ducks press at the half. They're kept to the outside. And then at 13-18, the Ducks open the scoring. Colangelo deflects one in. It was only the third shot on net for Anaheim. Gauthier and McTavish with the assists. We get a power play for Vancouver. That's killed off. The Ducks then press in the final minute, and they're up 1-0 after the first period. Second period, an early press by the Ducks. We then get the third power play of the game for Vancouver, and they score on it. DeBrusk, I should say, from Besser and Hronik at 1:05, so that ties the game at 1. Besser then has a net feed that's blocked. The Canucks press at 2.5 minutes. D. Petey has a deflected shot that's saved, which of course is Elias Pettersson, because there's 3 different Petterssons, 2 of them named Elias, yeah, whatever. 3 icings in a row by Anaheim. I thought I'd write that down because very often we see teams take advantage of that. The Canucks didn't. Teams trade rushes. The Ducks draw a power play. That's killed off. Terry has a near miss from the side of the net. The shots are 5-2 Anaheim at the half. And at 10:32, Vancouver scores. It's Bluger deflecting one short side. Hronik and D. Petey, so Elias Pettersson with the assist there. That's his second helper of the season. Makes it 2-1 for Vancouver. Canucks press with 8.5 minutes left. Drew O'Connor then crashes into Gibson. It wasn't malicious, but it was a penalty, and Gibson gets hurt on the play. Of course, we have the trade deadline coming up on Friday. Gibson comes out. Dostal goes in, puts the Ducks on a power play. Vancouver does kill that off. The Canucks press with 2 minutes left. Soucy then scores, and the Ducks challenge for goalie interference. Was Sherwood behind the goaltender? Yes. Did an Anaheim player put him there? Yes. At the time where he had a chance to come out, the puck was going into the net. He did not have a chance to clear the crease. So the goal counts. Soucy from Höglander and Sherwood at 18:51. It also means the Canucks are on a power play, and Greg Cronin wants an explanation, but it's 3-1 Vancouver after 2. To start the third, the Ducks do finish the kill. Hedl has a net drive chance that's saved. The Ducks press are kept to the outside. Canucks are doing a pretty good job of blocking the path to the net at this point. Shots are 4-0 Vancouver at 6 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Lekharamaki's denied on a rush. And then at 13:27, Dumoulin buries a rebound to make it a 3-2 score. Lundestrom and Leeson with the assists. With 4:51 left, the Canucks get a power play. That's killed off. Goalie pull happens with 2:07 left. And then on an icing call with about 5.5 seconds left, Zegras and Garland just decide, all right, so we're going to have a bit of a fight. To start, though, Zegras did knock himself down. So I don't know if Garland said something to him about knocking himself down, but I probably would have. At any rate, so that leads to just guys getting booted out, and then there was some pushing at the horn as well. Vancouver wins a hotly contested game 3-2. They go to 28, 12, and 11 to keep pace and try to keep above the playoff line, even though they're below it because Calgary has the tiebreaker for regulation wins. The Ducks drop back to 27, 27, and 7. They just keep falling back to right at 500, and you can see it's frustrating them. Understandably, too. Shots on net favored Vancouver the whole way. 17-5 in the first, 7-5 in the second, 12-6 in the third. Final shots 36-16 for Vancouver. Power plays, Anaheim 0 for 2, Vancouver 1 for 5. The hits 26-20 for Vancouver. Gibson saves 19 out of 21. He was excellent. So is Dostal, 14 saves on 15 shots. Lankinen, 14 saves on 16 shots at the other end. He wasn't that busy. Anaheim didn't test him that often. All right, last game of the night. The St. Louis Blues in LA against the LA Kings. So, Binnington versus Kemper. Early press by LA. Buchnevich has a net drive chance that's saved. Shots are 2-1 St. Louis, 5 minutes in. Byfield has a one-timer that saved. We get a power play for the Blues. That's killed off. The Blues press with 9 minutes left. The teams trade turnovers. The Blues press with 6.5 minutes left. In fact, the shots are 6-2 for the Blues with 5 minutes left. And the Kings were stuck on 2 shots for a while. Shen has a net feed chance that's blocked. And then at 18:50, Neighbors backhands one into the net. Parayko with the assist. It's 1-0 St. Louis. However, LA would answer at 19:22. Byfield goes far corner past the screen for his 12th of the season. Fiala and Gavrikov with the assists. It's a 1-1 tie at that point. 15 seconds left. The Blues get a power play, so the referee is informed that if there was a meter measuring suckage, that his meter would be closer to 100% than 0. But that goes to the end of the period, rolls over into the second period with the score tied at 1. There's a shorthanded Fogle chance that's held. The Kings finish the kill. They allow 1 shot to St. Louis on that power play. Pressed by the Kings at 2.5 minutes. They're kept to the outside. We get a power play for the Blues. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Byfield. He fires one wide there. That power play's killed off. Good forechecking by the Blues. However, the shots are 5-2 for the Kings at 8 minutes. And at 10:14, Moore is the last one to touch the puck before it goes in off Binnington's skate. Anderson and Fogle with the assists. It's 2-1 for the Kings. Blues look to respond. The Kings press with 5.5 minutes left. The Blues are doing a good job of blocking the path to the net. With 54 seconds left, the Blues draw a power play, and they score on it. At 19:13, Thomas goes far corner from the left circle. Buchnevich and Fowler with the assists. Ties the game at 2 with 32.4 seconds left. The Kings get a power play, so that rolls over into the third period with the score still tied. The Blues do finish the kill, but then they go right back to the box right after. Kempe has a one-timer that misses high. That power play's killed off. 1 shot as well on that power play. Every power play apparently featured 1 shot on it. Just one of them ended up going in for Thomas there at 19:13 of the second period. So shots are 2-1 for the Kings at 5 minutes. It did feel like a Kings game in terms of trying to keep those shots down. Toropchenko's denied from the slot. Falk has a point shot that's caught and held. Anderson then had a screenshot that's saved. The Blues press to close it out. They might have deserved a better fate, but we're going overtime. In the overtime, the Blues controlled early. Holloway has a shot that's blocked. Danault fires one wide on a break. Laferriere has a net drive chance that's saved, and then Moore's denied on a breakaway. So a couple breakaways for the Kings in overtime. We go to the shootout, and in the shootout, Robert Thomas with the winner in round 3. And that makes your final score 3-2 for St. Louis. They go to 30-27-6 with the win. With the loss, the Kings 31-20-9 because it's a shootout loss, so they get that in the third column. Shots on net favored St. Louis until the overtime. 9-4 in the first, 10-9 in the second, 10-6 in the third, and then LA outshoots St. Louis 4-1 in the overtime. Final shots 30-23 for the Blues. Power plays, St. Louis 1 for 4, LA 0 for 2. The hits 22-20 for the Kings. Binnington saved 21 out of 23, and Darcy Kemper, 28 saves on 30 shots. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, about tonight's games. There was Vejmelka signed a contract extension tonight. I'm not doing a video strictly on that, so that'll be thrown into a news video tomorrow. So if you're wondering where that was on a board earlier, it happened after the other news video I did during these games tonight. So thank you guys so much for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I will talk to you again soon.